What is up, y'all? We are back, episode 30 and 31. Shout out to y'all for y'all's patience. I had to watch the game on Thursday, which I was very upset watching it because if you know, I'm a Commanders fan. We got whooped yesterday, so that was sad to watch. Wednesday, I just did not feel like doing it. Truth be told, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I didn't feel like doing it. But yeah, I do want to let y'all know too for the rest of the season. If you don't know, I recap Love Island games. Love Island games is starting on Tuesday. Dancing with the Stars starts on Tuesday. And Salt Lake City starts on Tuesday. So I got a lot of work to do. So I'm going to finish up the season doing like I'm doing here, which is a bulk recap. So we got 2 more weeks. I'm going to do that, especially considering Sunday we don't have an episode. It's going to be on Wednesday. So I'm going to do the bulk Wednesday, Thursday type of deal and drop it on the weekend. So yeah, stay locked to the channel. If you're new here, hit subscribe. We are quickly on the road to 13K. We're on the road to 15K, but let's get to 13K first. Thumbs up the video, drop y'all's comments, share the video, subscribe if you're new. I'm very sad about this eviction. The eviction episode was very sad, but we're going to get into it. Let's go. All right, y'all. So we come back, and sadly, Rachel is gone, as we all know. Everybody's still shell-shocked, essentially. They're like, damn, she really is gone now, and they're scared about what's going to happen next, considering the fact that Rachel just left the game. Like, I don't feel like any of them at that moment in time expected her to leave the game that soon, especially that way. So it pretty much put everybody on their toes, and now they know, okay, shit, we got some shit going on. But the mastermind gets on the TV, pretty much confirming that Rachel is off the jury, but not to get too comfortable because the mayhem is just beginning. They still have a month of mayhem, not a month, 2 weeks of mayhem left. But they're now wondering who has won the HOH between Morgan, Lauren, and Vince. As we all know, only 3 people competed in the HOH. That's why I hate this twist. This twist was stupid. But Tyler pretty much confirms that Lauren had the fastest time out of the 3, which makes her boring as the HOH. I called Morgan boring when I meant to say Lauren last recap, but that's who I was talking about. But she is boring. She really gets on my nerves, and we're going to talk about it throughout these 2 episodes. But she states that she's HOH. She's going to make decisions now that are best for her game, not anybody else's. We'll see about that, Lauren. But we get back to the house. They're back in the house. Rachel's picture goes black. Everybody's watching. It's just like... Rachel really got sent home, and it's been a whole week. Today is Friday, September the 12th, and I still cannot believe the way that she got sent home. But Keanu was sad because he's like, Rachel's gone, but I know Rachel had her fate in her hands, essentially. Like, she's left and she's gone, but she didn't win the competition to get herself to stay. But he's happy that he didn't consider Lauren as a nomination whenever he was HOH, now that she's HOH, so now he feels like he's good. He feels like he ain't really got much to worry about. That's what you think. But we get Vince and Morgan. Vince is telling her it's not her fault. It's not their fault. Morgan's like, yeah, but people are now in danger that we're working with because of you, basically. And I'm like, exactly, because you didn't have to choose Lauren. Like, there was no purpose and no reason for you to do that. But she then tells him that if he would have chosen her, she would have chosen Rachel, and then she would have survived. Which I do believe, honestly. People are stating like, yeah, Rachel had her game in her hands. Yeah, that's true. But y'all got to keep in mind, too, leading up to Rachel going outside, Rachel was in there working. Like, working. She was pissed off, because you want to have the most amount of time. And as Rachel stated in her DR, even though we know that was filmed after, she didn't want to be in that spot where she ended up, which was that 3.5 minute mark. That's like, that is a scary part. Like, you want to be at the top amount of time. So like the 6 to 5 minute range, that you have a little bit more of a cushion to kind of control it. So, you know, with her going in 3 minutes, you're sitting there looking at the clock too. And you kind of get frantic. Sometimes you overthink things, and that's what happens. But Morgan, she's crying in the scene and in the DR because she's upset because Vince basically chose Lauren over her, which is breaking the alliance. And it was the first time that he had chosen her or somebody over Morgan, and she feels so done. I'm like, and she feels alone. I'm like, Morgan, wake up. Like, you see that that's his preference. But not only that, I don't know why it's not clear to Morgan that Vince is literally trying to set himself up to go to the final 2 regardless. Even though I'm looking at it from Morgan's perspective, Vince is playing the game the way he should. He has 2 people that he's nurturing and making sure that they take him to the end. But from Morgan's perspective, Morgan, you need to cut that off. Like, go build another connection, even though we know she is. But go build another connection instead of making him your number 1, because it's clear you're not really his number 1, but he's making it seem like he has a number 1 with you and a number 1 with Lauren. Why don't you go do the same to make sure that you're at least covered? Because you see Vince is not going to be the one to take you. But she then tells him that Lauren's going to put her up. He says, not necessarily, yes, she is. And she was like, yes, she is. But he then states that he knows that she's upset in his DR, but he's trying to balance out his preference essentially with the two. Like what I just stated, he knows that he needs to pretty much maneuver and massage both of those relationships that he has with Morgan and with Lauren. And he basically felt like him doing what he did was to kind of like smooth things over with Lauren, because he essentially fucked over that side of the house so many times prior, which is the side of the house that she's working with. So he feels like this is a way to patch shit up with her. But Vince then goes upstairs to go talk to Lauren and pretty much tells her everything that he just talked to Morgan about, and about her basically getting mad at him for picking Lauren. But it worked out flawlessly the way that he wanted it to. And he ends up asking, like, what are you thinking in terms of what you want to do? And she's like, I mean, I'm not touching Ava or Kelly. We know that. Vince states that he doesn't want Morgan going home, obviously. So he's pretty much trying to tell Lauren, don't put her up. And Lauren's pretty much whispering, I don't think that I can trust her. You know how she talks. Annoying. Speak up. Use your chest. But Vince then tries to pretty much ensure her that Morgan is not going to get you out. I'm going to try and get her to trust you. And like, Lauren's not that dumb. She's stupid, but she ain't that dumb. But Lauren then says in her DR that her and Morgan haven't seen eye to eye game wise. Vince's decisions are highly influenced by Morgan, and she feels like she's felt the effects of that, which she has. Like, she has. And she's not lying. Morgan definitely has more influence on Vince's game than he or many people want to admit. Keanu knows that. But yeah, but he then tells Lauren that he would pick, he tells us in the DR that he would pick Lauren over Morgan, which we already know that. And I think he did tell her that. I watched the episode yesterday, so I can't remember. But he then tells her that, he tells her that he would pick her over Morgan. And I was like, damn, Morgan ain't gonna like that when she watch this shit back, because we all know she in love. But Keanu, he's in the kitchen and he's sitting there looking at Rachel's picture on the wall. Pretty much us. Like, he's like, we're supposed to be in the final two together. He tells us like he took her for granted being in the house, even though like their frenemy relationship, they had their ups and downs, as we all know. And he's getting teary eyed. They're showing the flashback of all of their ups and downs. Like I said, we missed out on that. Like, I hate the fact that we did not get to see them truly go head to head. Like, if one of them was to go home, I would have liked to have seen it in actual Big Brother style, not some stupid twist taking one of them out. But and shout out to Brendan. Shout out to Brendan, because Brendan reposted my clip that I posted on my TikTok. If you don't know, go look in the bio, go follow. He reposted it on Rachel's page. So shout out to you, Brendan, if you're watching this. But he then tells us that he took her for granted. Like I said, a lot of them did. Let's keep it real. But Will and Ashley, my duo, they're talking about how essentially we're going to go up. They know they're going up. Will tells us that Vince pretty much picking Lauren shows that the judges are basically done at this point. Like, he drew the line in the sand. He don't really care about us. Like, his preference is Lauren in that side of the house. It is true. Like, come on. But Lauren and Ava, they're in there talking about how everything's different now that Rachel's gone. And Ava says Rachel technically got herself eliminated and she wanted to do the maze. She just wasn't able to complete it. And I said she wanted to go with the most time. Duh, dummy. Like, she's sitting there trying to make it seem like, oh, well, Rachel wanted to compete. And she competed and she didn't get it done. She wanted to compete first so she could have the most time to make sure that she can do it without being scared of possibly running out of time. Like, Ava's a jackass. I can't stand her. But Lauren then tells Ava that Morgan's the next person that she doesn't trust. Like, out of everybody else here, she's the one I don't trust the most. I trust Keanu to an extent, but he is a big competitor. So at this point, he got to go. Lauren ain't lying. But Ava is pretty much nudging her more so in Keanu's direction. As we know, if you ain't been watching the feeds, you ain't really seen it. But Morgan and Ava kind of have built a little budding relationship now. So obviously she would want Keanu to go before Morgan. But Lauren then tells Morgan and she tells us that Morgan and Keanu are the biggest competitors in the game. And she needs to make sure that one of them goes. She's not lying, because one of, if not both of them leaving makes it a lot easier for Lauren. Because when it comes to winning competitions, it's really her, Keanu, Morgan, and Vince that are, and Kelly. But she's working with Kelly. But Ashley and Kelly, they're talking about the people's line about their professions and whatnot. It's funny because they started talking about law. Kelly's talking about something. You always be talking about law. It's just like, no, I don't. But Keanu and Lauren, they're in the HOH room. He's in there dry pitching Morgan as the target. Like, go in her direction. Don't look at me. But he tells us that it's time to separate Morgan and Vince. He knows getting rid of Morgan will actually bring Vince over to that side with full control. Same concern that he has is the same one that Lauren has. Morgan is pretty much puppeteering Vince. But he then tells her that he doesn't want Vince to go home, but if there is a fourth nominee, it wouldn't be a bad option because you throw them both up against each other and say they both sitting on the block after the blockbuster. We can ensure that one of them will go home and we can vote out Morgan, basically. And Vince wouldn't be the one to try and keep her there. But Lauren, she's in her confessional stating that Keanu and her have, Keanu thinks that they have a closer game relationship than they do. And he actually would be her fourth nomination. I'm like, you're stupid. Because Keanu's about to clock her later on. But why would you want, I understand like trying to get him out because he is a big threat. But what Keanu's about to state in a minute is 1000% truth. The minute he goes home, you're the next big target. But we'll get to it. But we get to the nominations. Morgan, Will, and Ashley are nominated. They were whispered. And when I say whispered, Lauren whispered to them that I'm nominating you guys. You know how she is. She's scared of everything. But she states that the ultimate goal is to get Keanu and Morgan to still be sitting on the block come eviction night to make sure that a strong competitor is out. Ashley's not shocked that she's up. She states that if I do come back, I am gunning for Lauren if I am here next week. And Morgan, she's hurt because Vince basically is in Lauren's ear and he was supposed to fight for her to not be put up on the block. And none of this shit should be happening if you would have actually chosen me during the fucking White Lotus. We then get a scene of Morgan, Vince and Morgan in the storage room. And she's crying about thinking that she's Lauren's target. She is. He's trying to act like she's not. He knows that she is, which is proof that he don't give a fuck about her. But Morgan knows that she is, and he then tells her that Keanu basically is the target. He's one of the options, but she strictly wants Morgan out right now. But she's crying. He's telling us that once again, he's caught in the middle. Whose fault is that? And he tells her that he would use the veto on her, which would put him in a weird place with Lauren. And I'm like, so why would you say that? And that's the same thing that he does this shit all the time. Like Vince, he literally does not learn from his mistakes. He does the same shit over and over again. I forget exactly when it happened, but he promised somebody that he would take them off the block, which would then put him in a bad position with the ally that was in control. I forgot which one it was, but it's literally the same shit that happened earlier in the season. But Morgan says that she wants to believe that he would use it, but she's thinking about the fact that he literally chose Lauren over her. So why would I think that you would use the veto when you prove to me that you don't really care about my safety and you would choose Lauren's side over mine? And she's the one that put me up. So why would you take her off? Why would you take me off when your number one ally is the one that put me up? Like, you want to be in good graces with her. But Lauren and Morgan, they're in the HOH room talking now. Morgan's like, I pretty much assumed that I would be consideration. Lauren tells us that her goal for the week is for Morgan and Keanu to stay on the block come eviction night. And whatever happens, happens. Basically, she don't care which one goes as long as one of them does. But Morgan then states that Vince told her that Lauren's plan was pretty much to backdoor Keanu. And while she's talking to Lauren, Lauren's not really giving me much. She's telling us this. I'm sitting here trying to talk to her, trying to pick her brain or whatever, and she ain't giving me much. That's nothing out of the ordinary. Lauren don't give much of anything. She ain't gave much all season. She barely speaks. But Lauren and Ashley, they're now talking, and Lauren tells her, like, I don't want you going home. You shouldn't. And she's like, if there is a fourth nomination, I'm doing Keanu. So Ashley was like, yeah, let's pray that I can win the veto. And Lauren's like, I think you're good at the end of the day. But Ashley tells us she's not relying on Lauren. She's like, I don't trust her. As you shouldn't. You shouldn't trust nobody in that game. Go win that veto. You are on the block. You take yourself off. But Lauren and Will, they're talking. Will's like, it's clear we don't talk game. Like, we don't talk game. So, I understand what you're doing. He tells us all this stupid one-on-one shit. We know how he feels about the one-on-ones. It's unnecessary. Like, we don't need to be having these conversations. I can't wait until I win HOH because I'm not doing these one-on-ones. We ain't doing this shit. I'm going to bed at 10:30. This 2 a.m. shit, talking all day. We ain't doing it. Will, I hate what I'm about to say later on, but that man, like I told you at the beginning of the season, he literally reminds me of who I would be at his age. Like, that dude is literally one of my favorite people that has ever been on the show. Like, his energy, just who he is as a person, he's a great person. You can tell he's a good person. But Will, Ava, and Ashley, they're talking. Ava pretty much states that she wants to get picked for veto to remove one of the two of them, and Lauren can replace one of them with Keanu like she's planning on doing anyways. But Keanu and Kelly, they're having a conversation, and Kelly feels confident that she won't go up for the first time like in a while. So she's happy that she gets to sit back and pretty much coast this week. But Keanu tells her that she's good for another week. And Kelly was like, I mean, I think you are too. You think. Keanu agrees that he feels good and he feels like he has a good relationship with Lauren. And like me dominating me wouldn't make too much sense because if I do go, who's going to be the biggest target next? You. He's not lying. Like, you do want to get Keanu out because he can beat you in competitions, but at this point, it's still I don't want to say it's early, but it's still kind of early. When you talk about jury, you don't want to get Keanu too far in the game. I feel like Keanu's the type of person that you get out on a double, like, which we know is coming next week. So, but we'll get to it. But Morgan and Ashley, they're having a conversation. Morgan ends up telling her how much rage she has built up because she wants to win that veto, because she don't know who Lauren would use the veto on if she won. It wouldn't be you. It wouldn't be either one of them, honestly. We'll get to it. Morgan, she then states that she won't use it on her because Lauren basically wants to compete against Keanu. Lauren wants Morgan to compete against Keanu in the blockbuster, so she's not going to use it on her, basically. And she's like, I mean, if Keanu wins, then I'm going to go home. And Ashley tells us that she knows that Morgan is nervous about being Lauren's target, and that Lauren won't use it on her. And Ashley's like, you know what? I'm going to use this information to my advantage. So I'm going to go up there and convince Lauren to use that veto on me because Morgan already thinks she's going to do it. And then she winked. I said, Ashley is funny. Ashley's DR is, she's good. She's good. People call it corny, but Ashley, she's good. Like, she knows how to talk. But Ashley runs up and pretty much tells Lauren exactly what just happened with that conversation. But we get to the veto picking. Morgan chooses Vince. Ava chooses, I don't know who chose Ava, but somebody chose her. But regardless, those are the players. Keanu and Vince, they're in the storage room after the fact. And Keanu was pretty much telling him, like, don't use that veto on Morgan. Like, don't do it because if you win and you take her off, I'm probably going to go up. Like, don't do it. But Vince doesn't care because basically Keanu just put him on the block. So he's like, haha, like, this is what happens. Like, do what you got to do. But Ashley and Ava, they're having a conversation. Ashley ends up talking about how she's happy that Ava had gotten chosen because it gives her and Will an extra chance. Like, it's basically we got 3 people playing to potentially take one of the 2 of us off, and Keanu didn't even get picked. So at this point, it's looking good for us. Ashley would be okay if Will came down because she would be up against 2 of the biggest threats. Because say Will goes down, she got Morgan sitting up there and she would have Keanu sitting up there. And she's not the biggest target no matter which way you slice it. Because if she don't win the blockbuster, Keanu wins, Morgan's the biggest target. Morgan wins, Keanu's the biggest target. So she good either way. But Morgan, she's upstairs checking in on Lauren. Lauren's feeding her the same bullshit. Morgan then goes to talk to Vince, telling him that Lauren does not want the veto used. Like, basically, she want me to stay up here. But Vince then states that that's why I can win. I can win and take you down. And he's claiming that nobody can convince him not to use it on Morgan. Come on. But Morgan says this is a chance for Vince to basically prove to her and right his wrong. You chose Lauren over me. This is the time for you to choose me over her. Go get that veto and take me off the block. No, Morgan wants you go get that veto and take yourself off. But he then tells us that his gut is telling him to win the veto and take Morgan off because she is in fact loyal to him, which she is. And Morgan, we can tell Lauren is definitely she's a loyal person. I will state that. When it comes to being in the game, she is somebody that you would want on your side because she's loyal to a fault. Like, she's too loyal. She's the type of loyal that I would want on my side because she'd have my back better than me. But we get to the veto, which is the BB Comics. I really don't care, but we already know how that goes down. They got the comics up there. You got to slide down the zip line. You got to memorize it, place them all down. You know, the fastest person wins. We're going to skip through that really, really quickly. Third place was Ashley, 20 minutes and 32 seconds. Second place with 13 minutes and 3 seconds was Lauren. And Lauren probably would have won because she kind of like paused to not, she paused to make sure that she didn't win, essentially, but she didn't want to look like she was throwing it. But Morgan wins with 12 minutes and 34 seconds. Vince thought that he was winning when he didn't even get third. You didn't even beat Ashley. But he thought he was going to be the one to win. Please, Vince. But Lauren, at the veto, Morgan takes herself off the block. And Lauren gets up there and whispers, Keanu, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to put you up. I said, talk. Like, she is so annoying. I have never seen somebody such a punk play this game. Like, why are you even here? You're a super fan, but you're so scared to do anything in the game. Like, how do you even like this game if you can't even do? Bye. We get to the eviction. The eviction episode. We are on episode 31 now. Morgan, she doesn't want, and I looked at this so I can put my little timestamp in. But Morgan doesn't want Keanu winning the blockbuster because she knows essentially like it'll be between me and him, and I basically would have to choose between, not between me and him, I would have to choose between my alliance members, basically Will and Ashley. So essentially she wants to vote out Keanu. But Lauren feels like her HOH will be successful regardless. Like, she feels like she's getting somebody out that she's not working with. Yes, but it's not. You getting out Will or Ashley on your HOH is not, that's not a resume builder. You getting Keanu out, yes, that's a big target. That's a big target. But that's the funniest part too, with Rachel going home. Nobody can claim that on their resume. Like, they didn't vote her out. Nobody put her up on the block. They can't claim Rachel. And that would have been the biggest resume getter. Whoever got Rachel out probably would win the game. But the fact that y'all didn't even get to do it, I can't be mad at that. But Ashley, she's happy that Keanu's on the block because she hates being against Will. But essentially, she's gonna work for the votes. Like, she knows she's up against Will, who is extremely liked. Keanu is not the most liked, and he is the biggest comp threat, but it's $750,000 on the line. I ain't coming for 8th place. I said, I know that's right. But Will is not surprised, but he knows that he or Ashley have to win that blockbuster because nobody would want to keep Keanu in the game. But it would be tough for him to do it against Ashley. Same sentiments. Like, we know they are super close. It's like dad and daughter. So he's like, she's like my daughter in this game, but I wouldn't even let my daughters beat me to the 750K. I said, I know that's right. But Lauren, she's in the HOH with Vince. They're talking about how that she hopes that Keanu doesn't hate her. Over it. Vince tells her he doesn't. I'm like, I'm sick of you. But Vince then hopes that Keanu feels foolish about losing an ally in him. You're not a valuable ally. Like, you float with the wind. Like, you're not a valuable ally. He has no reason to care that you're not with him. Like, come on. But Vince then states that it's a win no matter what because I'm happy with either one of the three going home. Those three are the only ones that I really care to win. Like, the three that are on the block are the three that I actually, at least one of them I want to win. Morgan, I will add her in there. But Morgan, Ashley, and Will, they're pretty much talking. And Morgan's basically venting to them about Vince. Like, him choosing Lauren over her. That's my number one in the game. She's literally telling two people that are actively playing the game, that's my number one. I would never vote against him. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. I say, Morgan, you that in love that you forgot that you're still playing the game. You telling two people that are still in the game that you would choose him over them. If you on that block, you going home. But Will was like, she don't like you. Like, Lauren don't like you like that. She wants Vince to herself. Ashley and Will are pretty much telling her the truth. Like, telling her the truth. But she crying in her DR, talking about he ditches her so much. And she would never do it to him. And she's hurt by him. Morgan, stand up. Stand up. But Lauren and Keanu, they're upstairs in the HOH. She's sitting up there crying, telling him that she's sorry. I'm so sorry. I said, you're playing the fucking game. What are you apologizing for? Like, what are you apologizing for? But I'm like, she can't even stand on shit. Like, you literally did what you needed to do to get further in the game. What are you apologizing for? But Keanu states, like, there were other options, and you put the one person on the block who has the best game relationship with you. Not necessarily, but I mean, I get what you're putting down. And through my actions, I've shown you that I actually do have your back, which he has. And he's like, I mean, I kept you safe. You put my game in jeopardy. At this point, if I don't win that blockbuster, I'm going home. And he said, basically, if I do win it, you just gave me a reason to come back for you. 1,000%. So go cry about it, Lauren. But he then tells her that if he tells us that if he, did he say that to us? Yeah, he said that to us. If he wins the HOH, Lauren, Vince, and Morgan are going up. I want to see it. I want to see it. And he tells her to her face, no hard feelings, but it's a game. And at this point in the game, forget it. Like, basically, I'm coming for you. But Rachel, we get a Rachel interview, and I forgot to mention, like, Rachel, the way she walked in the house and the way she looks now, you can tell Rachel been in there working, getting that work in outside. Like, Rachel looks good. But she starts talking about how her relationship with Keanu was. She respects his game, not his gameplay, because his gameplay is messy, but she respects the fact that he wins his way out. Keanu is basically, it's funny. His journey in terms of like staying in the house is very reminiscent of Rachel's on season 12. The only difference is he don't have a showman's to keep him there too. But she respects that. She talks about how she saw her BB life flash before her eyes in the maze. Julie's giving her props, calling her an icon, basically what I stated. Like, she didn't even get evicted. She did not sit on the block, wasn't nominated once, and she got to see her BB comic. So she took it on the chin. Rachel was in good spirits. Love that for her, but I hate the fact that she's not there. Like, I wanted to see her at least get to the finals. But back to the game, Keanu and Ashley, they're in there, and they're basically telling each other that we will vote for each other to stay late. Basically, if one of us wins this blockbuster, if we're sitting up against Will, we're going to go home. She basically tells us, up against Will, she ain't voting. She ain't voting out Will against Keanu. Like, duh, but obviously she's going to tell him what he needs to hear in his face. But she's doing all of this right now to make sure that if it is her against Will, that Keanu votes to keep her. But they both agree sitting next to him would be dangerous. Like, sitting next to Will would be dangerous because he's the most loved person and he essentially will get carried to the end. But Keanu then says that Lauren hasn't even touched the block. If she gets me out, she will win. And Ashley's like, yeah, exactly. But Keanu feels like both of them losing Rachel is kind of like a silver lining for both of them because he and Ashley could do damage together in the game. I want to see that. I want to see it because we can start a new frenemies, like, basically. So Keanu feels that way. Ashley tells him that she feels like she's more valuable to his game than Will is, which she is. And that can weaken Lauren's HOH. Basically, sending Will home over the two of them will weaken her HOH. That's the second HOH that will be weak for Lauren. He agrees. I agree. But Ashley tells us that Keanu's game is very similar to Rachel's. Both of them are big threats. Both of them also are amazing shields for her. Ashley ain't lying. We get a scene of Vincent Morgan. He's in the kitchen trying to get her attention as she's walking by with shades on. And she walks by ignoring him. He's looking at Keanu like, she didn't even say nothing to me. She didn't even look at me. And he's like, yeah, because she was over there crying earlier. So, of course, he goes and finds her outside by the hammock. He's sitting there asking, like, do you want to be alone? Like, do you even want me to be right here? She like, you can sit here. And, of course, because she wants that. She wants him to come looking for her and asking if she's okay. But he ends up asking what he did. She's like, I feel alone. He's sitting there being delusional, asking if it's because I was with Lauren all day today. You know that. Like, Vince knows what he's doing. Like, they both, that girlfriend back at home, we all know she ain't waiting for Vince. She better not be. But it's just clear they like each other. They act like kids. Like, they literally act like kids. Like, she wants his attention. He wants hers. Him going and being around Lauren like that is definitely to get Morgan jealous, too. Like, a part of that is definitely to make her jealous. But she then states that you spend a lot of time with her. She wants me out of this game. She put me up on the block. She would not have used that veto on me, and she would have been happy if I went home. And the fact that you up there spending all this time with her is a hard pill to swallow, obviously. But he tells us that he understands why she's upset. But outside of Morgan, Lauren is all he really has in this game. And he states basically he wants to make sure that both of them are looking out for him and getting him to the final two. Can't be mad at that because that is a smart strategy. But he's so sloppy with it. But they locking hands and shit, like doing all this. He's low-key kissing her hand because he got his mouth on her hands. I'm like, this is so disrespectful. And then they start being weird, but we keep it moving. But we get to Keanu basically last minute hustling to make sure that he got the votes. And basically runs to Morgan and is like, it'd be smart for you to keep me here because we're the only two that are actively going to come for Lauren. Like, once we get her, like, we good. We got a common enemy to get out. And Morgan's, she down with that. That's all she needed to hear. Like, I don't want that bitch in here either. So yeah, let's go. She's down for it because the two of them can actually go get her. Because when you think of like who's going to win HOH, even though I already know who did, those two would be two that would be big threats to win it. But we get to the blockbuster, which is that untangled competition where they have like that crane and they got the ropes interlocked, and you have to untangle it. Y'all been working all day. I'm tired. But you got to untangle yourself. So it's Keanu versus Ashley versus Will. Who do you think won? Keanu won. So my two, they was moving too slow. Like, they was not winning that. I was very sad because it started to hit that again. That is 3, I was going to say evictions, but Rachel wasn't evicted. 3 back-to-back eliminations that hurt my heart. We lost Mickey, my villain. The very next day, we lost Rachel. And now we about to lose Ashley or Will. But their speeches, that if I was a crier, I'd have been crying. I had an inner cry. They were getting choked up talking about basically like, I want to stay, but I can't say nothing bad about the other person. We know how close they are. Will had everybody in there choked up because Will his impact. You could just feel his impact. But really sad because my boy got evicted on a 3-2 vote. Ashley is still there, so I'm happy about that. Sad. So that's 3 back-to-backs. We got to make sure that Ashley and Keanu make it to the final 2. That's what I need. But if y'all are new here and haven't already, hit subscribe, thumbs up the video, drop the comment, share the video, subscribe if you're new, and I will see y'all probably next Friday, probably next Saturday. I'll see y'all then. Peace.